worst nightmare last night. I dreamed Bitcoin was like under 9,000. Can't be right. Alexa, what's the price of cryptocurrency right now?
Sorry, I don't know that one.
No, Alexa, what's the price of cryptocurrency right now?
Cryptocurrency, also spelled cryptocurrency or cryptocurrency.
No.
Bitcoin is $8,612.
What?
Ethereum is $889.
What?
Doge is $567. Monero is $234.
What is going on? Oh my god. Why? Oh my god. I guess there's only one thing we can do. There's only one thing to do. I know what we have to do, Binks.
Doug, get up.
I don't want to get up.
You can't stay in bed all day.
I don't want to get up. All right, so it's been a bad day today, no doubt about that. But I'm going to give you my top 5 tricks to get through Bitcoin crashes. Look, this is not the first time it's happened. This has happened before. It's going to happen again. There's just no way around it. Particularly when something can go up this fast in price, it can go down pretty quick too. So there's no reason to freak out. This is all part of the game. Before we jump into that list, I also want to say that a lot of people seem to like the idea of doing a podcast, maybe get a little more technical on some cryptocurrency stuff. So I am going to start a podcast channel. It's going to be focused on cryptocurrency. Maybe down the road, I might get some more mainstream guests. But for the time being, it's going to be a podcast channel dedicated to talking with some of the leading people in cryptocurrency on various subjects, different currencies, what's going on, some technology stuff. And also, I think it's a good way for me to become more knowledgeable as well. So if you're interested in checking that out, there's a link in the description below. And if you think you'd be a good guest, feel free to tweet to me on Twitter at DougPolkPoker. Let's jump into our first tip on what to do during a bear market in cryptocurrency. Man, investing in cryptocurrency sure seems risky. I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
That's the ticket. Sell those cryptocurrencies, Billy. You want to keep your money in more stable investments like the US dollar. You can even store them under your mattress. Try doing that with a Bitcoin.
Golly gee, that makes a lot of sense. I'll sell now. No, that is not what you should be doing with cryptocurrency. You gotta hold when times get tough. If you look at the people who held historically through some of these pretty big downturns, it ended up going really well for them. You don't want to sell when something's at its lowest value, and you don't want to not believe in some of the same core fundamentals that you believed in before, just because you kind of ran into a bit of a rocky road. This is a look at the prices that we saw in terms of how much Bitcoin dropped by over the course of Bitcoin's existence. We see a few smaller drops, but the main ones being a 94% loss from June to November 2011 because of a Mt. Gox hack. We also see a 79% drop from April 2013 because Mt. Gox stopped trading. And then we see an 87% drop from 1166 to 170 in November 2013 all the way to January 2015. And I remember those times. You know, I bought some Bitcoin in early 2013, and I was also buying on the way up. I actually got owned and bought some Bitcoin around 1,000 back then, although now obviously that ended up working out. So you can't just look at it like what's happening month to month, or maybe even what's happening over the course of a year. It's about the long-term goal of Bitcoin and where it's headed in the future. It's so scary when the whole market drops. I think I'm going to sell all my altcoins for Bitcoin because I just don't know what's going to happen.
That's right, Billy. And consider picking up some Tether while you're at it. Think of the long term and remember the motto, Tether, what could go wrong?
That makes sense. I'll buy some USDT right now. This brings us to our second tip. Now, this one's a little less concrete than just holding through the bad times. But one thing that I've noticed historically with the cryptocurrency markets is that the altcoin markets tend to mirror and exaggerate what's currently happening with Bitcoin. Generally speaking, when we see Bitcoin going up in price, we see a lot of smaller coins surging hard because people are more bullish, they have more capital to invest across the board, and people are more willing to take risk. When we see the price, start to drop, we see Bitcoin start to go down, we normally see the altcoin market get pretty wrecked along the way. I am not a day trader. I'm also not a financial advisor, and everything on this channel is for information and entertainment. All investments have risk. I know it's annoying, but I gotta say it every video, guys. I'm sorry. I don't do too much trading, and generally I try and just buy and long-term hold on projects I believe in or sell when I feel like things are going down a rocky road. But sometimes it can make sense to try and make a few plays based around what's happening in the market. Because of the way it seems the alts move when it relates to Bitcoin, I think that if there are alts you might want to buy a bit more of, a huge drop in Bitcoin price could be a pretty good time to do it. We oftentimes see a lot of the alts that I think have good value dropping much more than Bitcoin, and then again surging much more during good times for Bitcoin. So if there are a few alts that you like, that you think you're interested in investing in, I think it's a pretty good time to do so during a Bitcoin drop. On the opposite side of things, during a bull market, I don't mind plays where you sell some of your alts back into Bitcoin, because Bitcoin will do better during downturns and also generally won't go up as much as maybe some of the other large cap altcoins. There are obviously many cases where this didn't happen. I think back to October and November where Bitcoin started going on a bull run, and we didn't see really the altcoin market explode until November, December. So there was a bit of a lag there between the two, but I think in general, we see the alt market sort of reflect and exaggerate what's happening with Bitcoin. So during a crash, it could be a good time to pick up a couple cheap alts that you think have some potential. The cheapest and the hottest altcoins there are. Did I just say cheap alts, not ironically? I feel like at this moment, a few particularly good ones that you might want to take a look at are Dash, Monero, or Lisk. I've invested in all of those. I think they have good long-term potential, and they've also dropped a lot, at least for Dash and Monero. Lisk has held a little better through the downturn, so maybe not quite as much of an opportunity there based on historical prices, but at the same time, I like what all of those projects are doing, and I think you guys should at least take a look at what's going on. I'm also a big fan of Monero. I've been invested in Monero for most of the last year or so. So I might do a video on Monero talking about what they're trying to do. I really like the privacy coins, and I'd like to dive a little deeper into that. So expect a Monero video at some point in the near future. My third tip would be, when things are going badly, don't stop researching and trying to figure out what's going on in the community. I think it's important sometimes, even with currencies that you don't like, that you try and do a little research to see what people have to say. This is one of the reasons why I posted over on RBTC asking more about my Roger Ver video. Now, most people obviously weren't fans of the video in that forum, but we did manage to have a fairly good discussion, I thought, and I do appreciate that RBTC, allowed for that to happen. Obviously, that forum has had some issues with a lot of people upvoting or downvoting rather threads that are anti Bitcoin Cash, but that actually got near the top of the subreddit, and we had a good discussion. So I think it's important to try and challenge your notions, try and challenge your thoughts. And while I'm not a fan of Bitcoin Cash, I am a Bitcoin guy, I do think it's important to see what people have to say. Just because everything's dropping doesn't mean all coins and tokens are equal. Some of the drops mean more. Like, for example, with Icon, they recently had to delay the launch of their main net, which is certainly a bad sign. We now don't know if that date will be finalized and actually will be live. What if it gets delayed again? Are there issues with the development team? There's a lot of questions kind of surfacing now about Icon, so that is a bad sign for its value long term. By comparison, we're seeing Bitcoin further advance itself. There are more and more addresses that are adopting SegWit. Lightning Network nodes are up to over 1,000 now, and the mempool has reached some of its lowest levels that we've seen in some time. So there are definitely good things going on with Bitcoin, which I think makes it well positioned to go on a run here sometime in the next few months. The bottom line is that knowledge is power, and in cryptocurrency, it's probably more true than in many other industries. So don't stop doing your due diligence just because the market's on a downturn. Make sure you're still looking for what's coming up. What are different currencies trying to do? What are everyone's roadmaps looking like? Are they achieving the goals they set out to do? What do you think about the long-term effects of decisions being made? What are the communities saying? Start to learn about things despite whether the price is going up or down. Make it part of your regular normal day, and it'll help you long-term know where to invest. I believe in the tech. I believe in the tech. I believe in the tech. Tip number 4. When times are tough and the world looks dark, and it seems that no matter where you turn, you can't find a way to profit, it's times like these that we must dig deep and look to humor to light the way.
there's some dangerous people in crypto. So
Laughter is one of the best ways to feel better during a downturn, and so I would really strongly recommend making light of the situation, understand this is going to happen, and try and work in a few jokes along the way. Usually at the top of most subreddits that deal with cryptocurrency, you see a few nice memes. Get in there, have some lulz, post one, and just lighten up. Don't take yourself so seriously. You don't have to make money every day. It's okay that sometimes you're going to take losses. It's part of the game. So make sure to lighten up and don't spend all your time thinking, what am I going to do? I don't have very much money in cryptocurrency anymore, and it seems like such a good time to buy. But man, that really just seems risky. Should I really be considering putting more money in when I just lost some already?
No! Why take risk when you might lose? Go for the sure thing, Billy, with government bonds. They almost beat inflation.
That makes sense. I'll never take a risk again. This is my final tip here for today. If you were appropriately invested before the drop, you might have an opportunity to do some buying. Part of the reason you only allocate part of your portfolio to cryptocurrency is that then in a scenario where there is a drop market wide, you can maybe look to pick up some on the cheap as a good long-term investment. It's like Warren Buffett always says.
In terms of cryptocurrencies generally, I can say almost with certainty that they will come to a bad ending.
No, not that clip. No, show the other clip.
Definitely will come to a bad ending.
The other one. Show the other. That's not Tom's. That's not.
We're almost always a buyer of stocks, and we're a more aggressive buyer when they're going down. I mean, I feel much better when they're going down.
That's right. Sometimes you've got to know when to buy when other people are afraid to do so. That's an important part of investing. I don't think it's any different here in cryptocurrency. I'm going to end by saying something that if you're familiar with this channel, I'm basically a broken record on, but I believe in the long term of cryptocurrency. And so I think allocating part of your portfolio to it makes a lot of sense. However, I do think it's risky and it certainly can crash a ton of its value, particularly if governments or banks try and control it or step in and make it illegal or don't allow transactions. All kinds of crazy stuff can go down. It is the Wild West. But if you're not allocating anything towards it, it seems to me like you're making a mistake, and this could be a good potential opportunity for people to buy. Thank you guys for joining today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the team.